Hey guys, Christian the HavreCardMan coming at you with another video today, and I know that I'm uploading this on Team Chaos Stream's channel, but that is because he has been kind enough to us to open up his channel for guest uploads. So here I am coming at you with a ban list, not necessarily a reaction video, but more so of a discussion on where this meta could shift to. And there is a whole lot to unpack with this ban list, not nearly as much as the last one that came out, but there is definitely a lot to go through here. So obviously the first thing Konami did was they had to hit the big targets for Crystal Needle Fiber, because there's no point to hit Crystal Needle Fiber. They just released it to the TCG. They want to get their sales on Dual Overload, and that's like the prize card of the deck, so they couldn't get rid of the card itself. They just had to get rid of the cards that made it a problem, which obviously includes Blackwing Steam the Cloak and Glow Up Bulb. I believe that's the right one. I can't remember between Glow Up Bulb. I was right. So they obviously had to ban both of those cards because they were obviously both degenerate and just ridiculous strategies to go along with Needle Fiber. They were one card combos that could allow you to go into some really big stuff that just kind of made it absolutely broken. So glad that they banned those. That definitely does take out a lot of those strategies. It makes Crystal Needle Fiber just a really fun tech card for a lot of decks. It's good to not hit the card itself. And I really definitely think it's good for, like I said, a lot of different decks, and it really promotes the whole synchro mechanic. With Master Rule 5 coming up, now that we can actually synchro spam more reasonably in the main monster zones without needing links. And speaking of links, Dragon Links got a huge hit, Destrudo being put to banned. I mean, really, it's not going to shut down the deck, obviously. It just like kind of lowers the consistency of it, and it doesn't make it as powerful. But I think Dragon Links do still have a ton of potential in the upcoming Master Rule 5. Lunalight Tiger getting hit, that one was kind of a surprise for me. From what I understand, I've never actually played Lunalights, but I've seen a few things on them, and from what I can tell, Lunalight Tiger being banned pretty much kills the deck. I feel like there's going to be some people that are trying to mess around with it and try to still make the deck playable, but from what I understand, it's not really going to be that much. Like, it went from being a decently high tier deck to now probably rogue at best. So, I don't know. That's kind of an interesting one for me. I don't know how to feel about that. That one I'm a little torn on. Spiral Master Plan. This one has been a long time coming. Honestly, I was hoping for Spiral Resort because I didn't want the deck to die completely, but at the same time, you know, it kind of, it had its life. Like, it's already come up twice in the meta, and there's already been, like, so many different how to beat spirals because of the fact, or just because of its power, even with these cards being limited. So, to see Spiral Master Plan pretty much kill the strategy, I mean, I think it was worth it. It's time for some new decks to come out, because it's not the end of the Link era, it's just more of an integration into a Link Fusion Synchro Exceeds era, where you're just getting everything all in one. I mean, screw Pendulum. Pendulum can stay where it's at. It's fine right there. I'm just kidding. I actually really do enjoy Pendulum. I'm not trying to hate on Pendulum players. I do like Pendulum decks. But as for other cards, I mean, the Dangers, Tsuchinoko, and Jackalope, I really don't think they needed to go to limited, but it's fine just because they're consistency boosters and they were so generic for any kind of deck. Like, they helped any sort of strategy, and I guess they're not necessarily broken, but it does make enough sense. So now with Jackalope, Nessie, and Tsuchinoko, basically you've just got a single play set of Dangers that you can throw into any deck and splash it in any deck if you need like 3 more spots filled. Now, Zodiac Trident coming to 1. That one actually caught me quite a bit off guard. I was not expecting that in the slightest for Zodiacs to come back so soon. I guess I shouldn't say so soon. It's been a little while for them. But I guess they're also not fully coming back either. This is just like the start of trying to rework them into the meta. And I'm sure trying to keep them like more of a balanced deck rather than just a super hyper consistent broken deck. I think that's what Konami's trying to do here. They're trying to just kind of ease it back in, not necessarily flood everything out at once, just give it like a few cards here and there to make the strategy viable enough, but not make it broken. Now, the one that actually really surprised me like the most about this entire ban list was totally awesome. I don't see the need for this card getting hit, because I know it's like splashable because people can go do a Bahamut Shark and then go into Totally Awesome, but for those decks that are just playing Totally Awesome normally, like, there's only a few of them. Paleos are, like, the ones that play the most, and even then, most strategies really don't play more than one, so there wasn't really a need to limit this card, and it's not even that broken to begin with. It can negate 1 card per turn. If you're gonna go with something like that can negate 1 card per turn, why not take out Hope Harbinger? Because, I mean, Hope Harbinger, let's be honest, is a lot more broken. It's just as it's honestly easier to go into a generic rank 8 than to go into an Aqua type rank 2. I mean, Aqua type is just so specific, and it's one of the least played monster types and just one of the least represented monster types. So why hit this one to 1 but leave Hope Harbinger alone, when it's so easy to bring that card out. Like, literally DDDs can do it like in under 4 or under 5 summons if you do it right. So I just, for me, I don't get it. I mean, yes, it's still at 1, so all the strategies that we're still playing at 1 are totally fine, but I don't think playing it at 3 was absolutely broken either. I don't think there was really any need to actually get rid of Totally Awesome. Well, not, once again, not get rid of it, just putting it down to 1. Next up here, well, okay, so TG Hyper Librarian and Trishula, those were just a given. Everyone knew those were going to get limited. That was just more than expected. ABC Dragon Buster, I mean, that one, it was just reading the effect shows that it's available to be broken in terms of strategies, but leaving it at 1 still makes it somewhat of a deck. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's still playable to some degree. You're just not going to actually like make some broken strategies out of it where you're just link climbing like crazy and building all these insane boards. But honestly, this is one of those cases where Konami probably should have just let it ride for a while, see what people were doing with this strategy, because honestly, I don't think it would have been as broken as Konami made it out to be. And I think it was just all the hype built around it kind of shot this card down. Instant Fusion, we all saw that coming. We all saw the OCG put this down to 1, and it only made sense that it was going to transfer into the TCG the same way. So nobody can really be surprised there. I mean, I've stated this before in a video. I don't know if it's up yet, but I've stated this before that Instant Fusion I don't think is the problem, because this card is a hard once per turn activation. The only issue with having it at 3 is the fact that you see it in your hand more often, so you can actually use it, and it's a free special summon. But the real issue with this card is people using it to go into the Thousand Eyes and Millennium Eyes Restrict, because those cards themselves are broken. So instead of getting rid of those cards that are the real problems, they put Instant Fusion down to 1 to break some consistency there. So there's just so many different reasons to leave Instant Fusion at 3, because it's not broken in most strategies. The time that it's considered broken is the fact that people are using it with the Millennium Eyes Restrict and Thousand Eyes Restrict to steal their opponent's cards or act as a Called by the Grave. That is what is being considered broken, and that's why I'm pretty sure that Instant Fusion was put down to 1. So that's kind of sad to see that. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. I really don't think it was worth it. Mind Control going to 1, yes, totally justified. Honestly, I kind of wanted to see this card banned because it's open to so many different degenerate things. Being able to just steal your opponent's monster and use their effects and then link off and other stuff. Like, come on, being able to Mind Control on Apollosa is just a little bit ridiculous, because now you've just stolen what your opponent took so long to set up and then using it against them just so easy like that. Like, it takes no effort. Destiny Hero Malicious going down to 2. No one really was surprised by that. Once again, Destiny Hero Malicious being a +2 for a deck, even if it is a brick, is still insane nonetheless. So, once again, not a big surprise there. Sky Striker, Mecha, Widow Anchor, you know, whatever, it's fine. As long as Engage is gone, Widow Anchor is not going to be a problem. This card probably could have gone to 3, and I doubt anyone would have really cared. Now, the unbans were a little bit interesting. Deep Sea Diva, not surprising. Necroface, not surprising. Neither of those were absolutely broken cards. Neither was Drone, to be honest. I mean, it was never really needed at 1, I guess. And Pot of Avarice, given current situations with the meta, yes, it is easy to get 5 monsters into your graveyard to be able to draw 2 cards and cycle them back into the deck, but it's not necessarily easy to be able to do that more than 1 time a turn. So having Avarice at 3 isn't bad. It just takes your chances of seeing this card in your hand from 12.5% to a 33% chance, I believe. I did the math on a Hyper Geometric calculator earlier. So really, it doesn't like increase the odds so much that it becomes broken. And honestly, it's totally fine for the meta because we've got so many other draw 2 cards, so many other draw cards that are just better in general, like Allure of Darkness. We've got Trade-In is a really good one. Pot of Desire is obviously one of the only +2 cards still, or +1 cards, excuse me, in the game. Pot of Avarice being at 3, I think is totally fine. So having gone through all these cards, where do I think the meta is going to shift to? Well, this is a really tough one because Master Rule 5 does open up so much potential for so many different decks, because now we are back in a time where nobody has to worry about link arrows to be able to synchro, exceeds, or fusion summon. Still have to for pendulums, but for the most part pendulums are fine, so we're not too worried about that. So, I mean, in terms of like actual meta, this could go anywhere, especially with ABC Dragon Buster getting hit to 1. There are so many different ways this format could go. Obviously, you're still going to see Shadalls and Heroes and like the tier 2 and tier 1 layers, just because of the fact that they are getting a lot of representation, especially Invoke Shaddolls right now are huge. Heroes have always just been a really popular one, but now that we can just fusion spam the field and not need to worry about links, they become that much more powerful. And there might be a few synchro spam decks out there, but honestly, synchro spam has never been like that crazy. Even when like it was the synchro era, they weren't that insane. You'd be more likely to see a lot more Exceed decks than anything. I imagine Magical Musketeers will be around quite a bit. They might escalate a little bit. They were already pretty good in Master Rule 4, but I think they might have a little bit more viability in Master Rule 5, so keep an eye out for those. So there's just a whole bunch of different strategies. Zodiacs obviously could be getting revised. Raid Raptors, probably going to see quite a few of those. Orcus is actually going to be coming back before too long with Eternity Code. There's going to be a Mech Knight Orcus Girsu, and Orcus Girsu is a one-card Orcus combo, so definitely be on the lookout for that. Even with Arpor being banned, Orcus are still a viable strategy just because of the type of boards they can end on. They just have a little less consistency now, which is totally okay because they can still end on some pretty crazy stuff. So most likely with the next ban list, though, Orcus will probably get hit again, so that it is what it is. But these are just some things to take in consideration. Once again, fusions are probably going to be the most popular type of deck you're going to be seeing, just because they're so easy to bring out. Most cases, it just takes one spell card, and that just starts off a whole play. Obviously, you're playing stuff like Shaddolls, like one fusion card can allow you to fusion some stuff from the deck. Heroes, you can use Fusion Destiny to get you into things. There's so many different means to get like really consistent fusion decks that honestly I would be a little bit worried about. I would be worried about those the most, and we might even start seeing stuff like just anti-fusion cards in the meta coming around. But once again, with how much there is in terms of versatility and just like variety for this meta, there is a whole lot that you could expect to see. I think personally synchros and pendulums are going to be like at the bottom of the food chain. I'm not even going to recognize rituals. I'm sorry to you ritual players, just because they're really not that big of a strategy, and they're not even really affected by Master Rule 5 for the most part, so we can just kind of ignore them a little bit. I'm sorry again. But I really think there's going to be some degenerate stuff coming out most likely within the upcoming months, just with different types of strategies. I feel like people are just going to find like really broken combos using Link monsters in tandem with the new access to like these extract monsters that they have now, being able to use any zone they want. I've already been playing DDDs, and they are honestly a super fun deck to play. And while they may not be like hyper consistent and super destructive, they definitely have the means to be pretty explosive. So there's another deck you might want to look out for. This uses every mechanic in the game with the exception of rituals, so definitely be ready for those. Those will probably see some resurgence, and it seems like prank kits have actually been on the rise. I've been surprised to see this. Maybe someday we'll see prank kits go from a rogue to a tier 2. That would be awesome, but I'll keep my hopes up for now, just for you guys, so you don't have to, because prank kits, let's just be honest, are the best. So once again, I don't know where this meta is going to be going. I will let you guys let me know down in the comment section what you think is going to be like the top strategies of this format. Like I listed before, I feel like Shaddolls and Heroes are going to take the tier 1 spot pretty quickly, and we can definitely expect to see some other strategies go into tier 2, like Raid Raptors and Orcus. I can definitely see going into the tier 2 category. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to Team Chaos Stream. He is an awesome content creator, and I'm super glad to be able to post content on his channel. So thank you guys so much for watching today, and we hope to see you in the next video. Remember to have fun and make your move. Peace out.